Hey guys, it's Bitcoin Schmitcoin here with another update for Bitcoin Magazine's Bitcoin analysis. We'll take a look at the monthly level, the weekly level, the daily, and ultimately the 4-hour time frame as this volatility has started to pick back up. The only thing I want to point out is this band of prices outlined right here by the monthly level. We see a nice wick and a body outlining this band, so we'll keep an eye on that as we zoom in. Looking at the weekly time frame, we see this current band of prices here, this red zone here. It is currently getting chewed through with our current weekly candle. We saw a huge wick at the top, and we still have a couple of days before this thing finishes up. But so far, it is just seeming like it wants to grind through this level. Obviously, we want to wait to see where the candle closes, but it's been an up week despite the volatility, and it's looking like it's finding support on the previous weekly open. Looking at the daily time frame, we see a little bit more resolution here. When we look at the volume and price spread, there was a high rejection off of this level here, this daily close, and we see high spread, high volume, and right as it came through this weekly level, we saw buyers step in, and that's exactly what we want to see. The last time we talked, we were kind of in the process of rallying upward, and right as we hit this daily level here, sellers stepped in. We're still making higher lows here, higher highs, and our current market structure remains bullish as far as I'm concerned. This red band of prices is going to be my make or break point, and as I stated in our previous market analysis, that as long as this red band of prices doesn't provide resistance, I'm okay with volatility coming in and out of this zone. That's not terribly uncommon to see volatility at a big turning point in the market like our weekly band. So nothing's terribly surprising here, and we're seeing exactly what we want to see. If you're a bull, we don't want to see this market come down through here, come back up, retest, and find resistance. What we saw was two fairly large moves through the downside, and then the market immediately popped right back up and found support here. So the daily time frame, the weekly time frame, and even this intraday time frame, the 4-hour candles, still looking bullish here. It's looking like we're probably going to be range bound here for a little bit. But what we really want to keep an eye out for a nice long entry, if you're looking for that, is I want to see this market be able to rally up here and find support here. This is the exact same scenario we've seen time and time again with the Bitcoin market. We see this usual midline throughout our range. This is approximately our midline. If we call this our top and this our bottom, we see this weekly level right in the midline. We see, the market come up, it can't find support. It comes up, can't find support, and then we see this strong move to the upside and then a rejection to the downside. And what we want to see is a nice range-bound market there that does some accumulating, shakes out some more bears, and then ideally comes up, finds support here. And if we can do that, then I suspect that we'll be in for a nice continuation of our uptrend. We've seen it several times in the past. I'll show you a previous example. Our last range here, here's the equivalent. Here's a weekly band of prices right here. And we can see the equivalent here. So we popped up above, couldn't find support, popped up above, couldn't find support, saw a strong impulse, temporarily found support, broke through, and then we saw a nice range here that accumulated excess supply. We broke out, found support, and then we marked up to our next target. It should be noted, of course, that if this fails to be support and we fail to absorb and the supply is just too present, well then obviously this case is going to be out the window, and we really want to see confirmed resistance before we get terribly bearish. So let's talk about downside targets and upside targets here. We'll look to our weekly time frame for these downside targets. If we fail to find support on our weekly level here, I think we'll find a little bit of support right in here, but ultimately I think we will be bleeding down to our fresh weekly level here. It's one of our only levels of support along this whole ride up. We do see prior levels of support back here, but this is where I think if things really start to get nasty, I think that this level is going to be a logical level where we see a lot of buyers step in, maybe shorters take profit, and we'll enjoy a nice bounce off of this level. But that's going to be the immediate downside target if this gets rejected. Upside targets, let's talk about that. The immediate upside target is going to be a retest of this monthly / weekly / daily level, right where our wick is. If we find support here, I suspect that the next logical upside target is going to be a retest of all this fun stuff that happened here. And we'll have to play it by ear from there. But, a price move, if we do find support here, we end up, say we end up finding support there, even just a retest to our prior high, that's still a 17% move. These ranges are just getting so large. The price swings are pretty crazy. So it's really important to, wait for a good setup. Don't get too eager with the intraday volatility, because it's going to cut you to ribbons. But keeping things into perspective here, I see nothing that's outwardly bearish. This looks just like a lot of the prior ranges that we've seen before, and it looks like we're just seeing a bit of a shakeout here. And until we break down and find this as resistance, I see no reason to put your bear hat on. And the trend is your friend. We're seeing higher lows, higher highs, and we even saw this nice wick here that got a liquidity grab off of this low. So whenever this happens, it's usually a sign that the market's seeking liquidity, not really necessarily looking to distribute on a macro scale. But like I said, we got to play it by ear. And the downside target, once again, if this does break down, we're going to be looking at like 87.50-ish. An upside target if we find support here, which is what I personally want to see. I want to see this thing finding support. And if we do that, well, then I suspect we're going to do our slow grind that I've talked about so many times before and retest this high here.